Right, for weeks Australia's been afflicted by an avoidable energy crisis. We've now had the new Energy Minister Chris Boner warning us, of course, of blackouts, urging us all to limit our non-essential power use and laughing away suggestions of nuclear energy helping Australia. Well, Bowen's now got a bit of egg on his face after the release of a union-backed nuclear energy report. Nuclear power, it's called, through the lens of an Australian trade union. It's a 2020 report, but it says nuclear power is a proven choice of a dispatchable and economically viable zero greenhouse gas emissions power generated technology available today. And Tony Irwin, a nuclear engineer with SMR Nuclear Technology, well, he lays out the costs of it all very clearly in the report. Nuclear generated power, he says, $555,596 per kilowatt. Large-scale solar, around $14,000 per kilowatt. Wind, $12,000. And even fossil fuels, around $10,000. So the obvious winner there, easily, is nuclear. To get an idea of what you're thinking about all of this, I'm joined now by the wonderful Erin Molan for our weekly segment, Word on the Street. Well, I'm still very pleased, Erin, now that you've got this wonderful show on Sunday night, that you're prepared to turn up on my show on Monday. So great to have you back as always. Hey, this report is you know, it's a union-backed report. It's a nuclear energy expert saying, because there's always been the left that's saying, you know, yes, it's baseload and yes, it's emissions-free, but gee, it's too expensive. This report says, no, that's not true. And in fact, in many of the measures, it's half of what the other technologies are. Why are our politicians then so petrified of nuclear?
Yeah, it's fascinating, isn't it? And good evening to you, Peter. Great to see you. I'll always make time for your show. You know I adore you. There's so much stigma around nuclear energy still, and it seems to be almost more in the political ranks than with everyday people, which I'll bring to you in just a moment. But it feels like people still feel like it's Homer Simpson at this big nuclear power plant. But the technology has come along in leaps and strides. And look, it's not every politician who is opposed to this. Matt Canavan has been going on about it for ages. David Littleproud was on my show last night talking about the advances in technology, which have just been incredible. My dad made his first speech, Jim Molan, in Parliament about nuclear energy. But it just seems like there's this opposition to it for no real reason. And now we've got this report. This is not pontificating. This is not kind of thinking, oh, well, it might be okay, it might be cheaper. This is evidence-based. And it seems that a lot of people on the street seem to be more informed when it comes to nuclear energy, more open to the discussion than a lot of the politicians in power. Take a look.
Yeah, I've got no issue with nuclear power at all, as long as it's done properly, which I'm sure it will be.
No, I think they should heavily invest in other renewables.
Yes. Yes, and solar.
I do actually. I think there should be something done now, and I think we've come a long way since nuclear was first started, and if they can look after the process, then why not?
Yeah, and look, now it's cheaper and more efficient, they say, than renewables, so I can't see a case against it.
Well, if you really care about lowering emissions, it's a no-brainer. Got to ask you, when you're out and about talking to people, I mean, we're a month on from the election of the government. Scott Morrison and even mentioning Scott Morrison Prime Minister seems like ages and ages ago. Labor, I think, have done well. I think they've certainly made their mark in a very short period of time. There are a number of issues, though, on their plate. And the question is, you know, how long's the honeymoon? How long will Australians put up with them blaming the former government? At some point, they're going to want things fixed and commitments met. What do people think of the government? Do they think that the voters got it right? How would they rate the Albanese government a month on?
Yeah, you're right. There's been a lot of blame so far. It's only a month in, but it feels like 10 years sometimes. Look, people seem to think that Anthony Albanese is doing a pretty good job. I think when political commentators are writing that potentially cutting the staff numbers of crossbenchers has been his greatest misstep, then he must be doing a pretty good job in other areas. He's been overseas a lot, we know that. And look, he's represented us well on the world stage. He's forging relationships with really powerful, influential leaders. Whether you like them or not, it's important that we have good relationships with leaders in the US, the UK and elsewhere. But people seem to think he's doing pretty well. One person, not so much, but take a look.
I say he's 9 out of 10 at the moment. I think he's doing his best.
Yeah, 9.
Right now, I think he's been doing a good job, yeah. he's doing great so far, but he hasn't done too much, but he's done everything right so far, I think.
Out of 10, I'll go 4.7. There's room for improvement.
Yeah, the old decimal point, hey, gets you every time.
What I find fascinating is, I mean, yes, it's low expectations, but we all had that for him. He had a shocker of a campaign, but he's hardly put a foot wrong. I mean, I don't agree with everything he's putting out there, absolutely not, but he's hardly put a foot wrong in the last month. And I think that, I think it's going to be a very interesting term of Parliament coming up. Erin Molan, thank you for your time.